Yes, you may all have already heard, but Matt Smith is standing down as the 11th Time Lord in Doctor Who's 50-year history. Is it time for a change? A change of gender and a change of ethnic background, perhaps? Have white males had a hold of that sonic screwdriver for too long? Yes, says blogger K McEwan.
I think a different kind of Doctor would be great. I think Dev Patel would be a great choice for Doctor. He's a great British young actor, and I think he'd be perfect in the role.
Well, looking forward to your suggestions too, but are you with them there? Are you bored with white blokes? Could the BBC strike a blow for equal opportunities by going off the same old script? To author and writer of the novel Doctor Who, Dark Horizons, Jenny Colgan. Good morning, Jenny.
Hello, Kay.
How are you this morning?
I'm very well.
Good, good. Is it time for a real change, a real fundamental change?
There's a lot of chat, isn't there? Well, that's the idea, is that could we have a girl as the Doctor? And this comes up. This has been coming up now for a very long time. Tom Baker famously said that he wished his luck to the next Doctor, whoever he or she might be. And, I don't think it would be that bad. A lot of people get the knickers in the twist. I think it's such a fun show, and I think the spirit of the Doctor is very much, he's stubborn, and he's talkative, and he's kind of a pacifist, and I don't think those are, totally masculine traits, really.
I mean, you're saying you don't think it'd be that bad, and because we know that a lot of people are very resistant to it. Could it be good? I mean, could it be a real step forward, quite an important decision?
Don't you think? Can you imagine what if Helena Bonham Carter did it? Don't you think she'd be wonderful?
Well, yeah, I'm sure she would. But, I mean, could it be influential beyond, just, somebody being good at it? Could it be a real strike for equality, to say no, that the top guy doesn't have to be a man, the assistant doesn't have to be a girl, and indeed they don't have to be...
just for that. I don't think, you would be making a point to do it. I think if the best person walked into the audition room, then you should be able to... And, Doctor Who is really pretty good at doing a lot of colourblind casting. It's made it very clear to introduce gay characters and so on. And I like to think it's for the people that watch it, it does kind of represent how quite often how Britain feels about itself. It's kind of Britain to the world, and so I think if they got the right person, it could be fantastic. But it would have to be about the person and not about making some huge PC
right. So it's not about making some kind of political point, because the TV critic from the Daily Mail, his line is, it's very important that it remains a man because it is a positive role model for boys, somebody who doesn't use violence.
The Doctor really doesn't read the Daily Mail.
Do you know that for a fact?
I think we know that much of him. A role model for boys, a role model also for girls. Don't forget, he's a scientist. This is where we want to get girls into all the interesting things that you can do. I mean, I think if anyone's getting bombarded with bad messages out there, it's not the boys.
No, more the girls. Okay, Jenny, thank you very much. Back to Doctor Who. Could it be, should it be a woman, or indeed a non-white male? Doesn't have to be a woman. Should we just ring the changes from the pattern that has been established over 50 years and through 11 Time Lords, all of them white males? Colin Stone's a freelance journalist and a huge Doctor Who enthusiast, saying, it's just the way it is. It's the way the programme has been established, and he really can't see any room for any great sort of change, because it's just the way it is. K McEwan, Blogtor Who, a blogger on Doctor Who. Morning, Cameron.
Good morning, Kay. How are you?
I'm well. It's just the way it is, says Colin. The Doctor's a bloke.
Yeah,
the Doctor is a bloke.
I'm afraid I don't agree with my previous so-called fan, and if I may cite precedent in Doctor Who, the idea of a Time Lord changing sex has actually been mentioned within the show very recently in a Neil Gaiman story, a famous writer. The Doctor mentioned a fellow Time Lord who actually changed sex for one of his regenerations. And indeed, when Matt Smith himself regenerated from the great David Tennant, one of his first words were, "Oh, I'm a girl," when he felt his hair, because he thought he had girly hair. So within the context of the show, there's absolutely no reason why the Doctor can't be female. Absolutely no reason.
What about in the context of society? Do you think it would be a significant move for them to make a change?
I think sometimes changes do need to be brought through positively, especially with a show like Doctor Who. And I think what you're finding is a lot of people are saying, as you've had a couple of callers saying, no, it should be a guy because that's the way it's been. That a lot of people, ironically, in a show like Doctor Who, which is all about change and all about positivity, whenever a female as a doctor comes up, it's just blanket no. There's not really any reasons given to it. Usually it's just, no, that's ridiculous, please don't do it. But I think it would be a very positive move for the show to do it.
Have you not had a bit of abuse when you've been blogging about this and you've raised the idea of it being a female?
Yes, I have a website, Blogtor Who, and on my Twitter feed, which has got about over 30,000 followers. So any time without even mentioning an opinion on it, if I just mention a story, like if Stephen Moffat has mentioned a female doctor or an actor or an actress has, it's usually I get a barrage of tweets or comments on the site saying, no, just no, this is ridiculous, please stop this chat about a female doctor. That's how, there's no argument to back it up. It's just, no, this is ridiculous.
Right.
People just don't want it. And the strange thing is, people are much more vocal about that than, say, for want of a better phrase, an ethnic or a black doctor. People are much more open to that. But whenever a female actress comes up, it's just a blanket no.
I mean, that's so interesting. Just trying to drill down to why, what the objection would be to a female. It's 2 minutes to 10, by the way. We've got Dave, the taxi driver, on the line. Good morning, Dave.
Morning.
Would you like to see a female Doctor Who?
Absolutely not. Absolutely ridiculous. There's certain things in life that should just be left alone. I mean, Abraham Lincoln was Abraham Lincoln. He wasn't Alice Lincoln, and George Washington wasn't Gene Washington.
No, but that's
Muhammad Ali wasn't Mary Ali.
But they're not fictional characters.
No, but I mean, it's just common sense. The Doctor's a man, and his female assistant is obviously always going to be a dolly bird. There's always going to be, like your earlier caller said, her looking up to him, and is there a possible love interest? It's all pluses. It's totally crazy to get in these roads. It's just to give somebody a job.
David, are you winding me up here?
What's that?
Are you winding me up?
Okay, I just am the voice of common sense in your programme.
You are winding me up, I tell you. Why should it be that way, David? You're going to get my blood pressure going.
That's how it's best to be. And that's how the majority of people would like it to be.
Do you think so?
Kate, you know me, I don't think. I know so.
A taxi driver talking common sense. There you go.
I'll tell you, if a taxi driver was in Downing Street, you wouldn't even need your programme because the country would have started.
Listen, David, Helen Mirren is a popular suggestion on our text. Now, come on, Helen Mirren.
No, look, Helen Mirren's about 93. It doesn't work. A, because she's a female, and B, because she's far too old to be the Doctor,
Right, okay, well, let's attack her on two fronts. Why is a female not suitable? Well, we're heading towards the news. David, feel free to stay with us. I like somebody to get my blood pressure going, so that's no problem at all. Why is it such an issue that the Time Lord might be? I don't get it. Jingland Jess in Port of Leith agrees. Doctor Who, a woman, get a life. Kay, she says, it's all in the name. Time Lord, not Time Lady, says Colonel Glegg, retired. A few people putting in some female names. Dawn French for Doctor Who, says someone. Gillian Atkinson is another suggestion. And Dame Helena Kennedy. And somebody else saying, don't be silly, Kay. Would you like the next production of Jane Eyre to have a man playing the lead? Cameron K McEwan, that's an interesting text actually from Patricia, because clearly, she sees it as a male role, but, Doctor Who is, as you pointed out, a fictional character who regenerates. So we have, all the potential of science fiction with us here. Well, it could turn into a Jack Russell Terrier.
I see no reason why the Doctor couldn't turn into an alien, like a different form at all. The show is all about regeneration, taking new form. And as you so rightly say, it's science fiction. Jane Eyre, as far as I'm aware from reading it, was about a girl, a woman, Jane. It's not a science fiction story. It was a romantic story. Doctor Who is science fiction. He can regenerate. He can change into different forms. If people can buy the fact that he can change his body or travel around the universe in space and time in a wooden box then surely they can accept that he can change colour or sex.
Cameron, does David the taxi driver speaketh the truth? Common sense. He's a bloke. He's meant to be a bloke. He should always be a bloke. He should have a dolly bird looking up to him. That's what most people want. Dave, am I right? That's a basic synopsis. Does Cameron, does he speak the truth here?
Does Dave speak the truth?
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid that the majority of people that have commented on it, they haven't used the word dolly bird, which I haven't heard in a great many years. So thanks, Dave, for reminding me of that.
It's very Benny Hill, actually. It's made me smile.
Yeah, dolly bird. I mean, jeepers. But yeah, the majority of people. Usually the comment is. It's called Doctor Who, not Nurse Who. Which
I
know. It's deeply offensive, I know, and it's sad
I've never been so upset on a Tuesday morning in all my life.
I do apologise.
Kay.
Oh,
go on, Dave.
Right, Kay.
Go on.
James Bond. Why don't we change James Bond if we're going to be totally ridiculous and call her Jean Bond or Gina Bond? You know, it's absolute nonsense. You know what I mean? There's things in life that should be left alone. And if you leave the things at work alone, then you've got time and energy to go and fix all the things that don't work.
Yes, Cameron, respond to Dave.
Well, the world didn't get where it is today by keeping it the same. The world is about changing and striving
changing
for
the better stuff.
Yeah,
better.
Yeah, women are great, aren't they? No?
Sorry?
Women are great, though, aren't they?
Of course, women are great. I'll spell women's praises all day long, but in the right context.
As dolly birds.
In coal mines or women in boxing rings and things, you know, anywhere, and I want to see a man doing something equally as ridiculous.
But and your point about James Bond is interesting, but James Bond is not a science fiction character who can change shape, and he's not an alien.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
All right, I see.
It don't matter.
Let me bring in Dave Golder again from SFX magazine. Dave, you kind of trod a middle line here initially, saying that, you know, you wouldn't have a huge problem with it being a woman, but you would be uncomfortable with it being, you know, a decision based on trying to make a social statement. Are you still standing with that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'd be uncomfortable with it. I'd be quite excited to see it. I just think I just hope that the casting is not stunt casting, as I said before. But having said that, I mean, Doctor Who, as Cameron keeps saying, it's about change. It's a show that it hasn't been the same for 50 years. It keeps on changing. If there's any show that can pull this off, it's Doctor Who. And they can take a suck-it-and-see approach. Yeah, let's try a woman. I think people might be surprised, and it might turn out really well. And if not, then, you know, you can regenerate back into a bloke again. But, you know, Doctor Who should be I think is the show that should at least try something like this, you know. You know, when it's stirring up debate, you know, it's stirring up debate even thinking about it. Why not do it? See what happens. Actually, I'm being a bit fed up because, like, ever since Tom Baker left, every time since then, people have said, oh, it might be a woman now. And I kind of like, I just wish for once it actually was a woman, just so we could stop, like, every time there is a regeneration, go, I wonder if it'll be a woman this time.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm actually now, after listening to this conversation, I'm for the suck it and see approach. Yeah,
right.
Let's do it and see what happens.
Nice one, Dave.